Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on New Year's Eve. Happy New Year to you all for tomorrow. Let's hope 2021 brings us an awful lot more joy than 2020 did. But enough about that. I thought I'd pop on here. We've just been speaking to Mikel Arteta in his press conference ahead of Saturday's game at West Brom. I thought I'd pop on and talk about what Mikel had to say, look ahead a little bit to that West Brom game and talk a little bit about Isco and the latest transfer state of play for Arsenal as we head into the January window. So Mikel Arteta today was plenty of quite interesting things brought up in the press conference that he had to answer. So let's go through some of them. First of all, on Kolasinac. Look, my understanding on Kolasinac is very, very close to joining Schalke on loan for the end of the season. That deal is being finalised as we speak and could be completed in the next day or so. Arsenal will be contributing to Siad's wages. They're just happy to get him out. He's the first of potentially many who might leave this January. We'll talk about that a little bit more during the video, and Arsenal's need to get players out of the squad before they can even really think about bringing players in. And Siad will be the first. He was very close to leaving in the summer. It didn't happen, but he is now heading back to his former club, Schalke. And he was at London Colney yesterday. I believe he might well now be in Germany already ahead of that move being finalised. Mikel was asked about that. As usual, he doesn't really talk about transfers at all until they are done. He said, I cannot confirm anything yet. We're working on a couple of things, and obviously this window is going to bring a lot of news, some true, some not. Whenever we have something to say, we will announce it. Pressed further on Kolasinac and whether it was pretty much done. He said, we've had some conversations around a few players and whether we can find some loans because the numbers we have in the squad at the moment are really big. Again, we cannot confirm anything yet. So Mikel keeping his cards pretty close to his chest, but Kolasinac will be heading back to Schalke on loan, barring any last-minute incidents. So that will be the first of potentially quite a few players who could head out of the club this January. Arsenal's squad very, very bloated. We know that. It has been since the summer. Arsenal failed to get the players out they wanted to in the summer. That left them with too many players in the squad. That has led to the situation of Mesut Ozil and Socrates not even being in the 25-man squad registered for the Premier League and not even playing. That has brought with it its own issues and troubles off the pitch. I mean, players who aren't playing are going to be unhappy. That's going to cause unrest. They've got friends in the changing room. It's going to cause unrest with them. And, Mikel Arteta fully admitting that is not sustainable and that has to be the priority in January now, is getting players on before they can, getting players out before they can think about bringing players in. I asked Mikel about that during the press conference and whether that had to be the priority, and he said, well, we have a large squad, we knew that, and a lot of things we wanted to do in the summer we couldn't accomplish for different reasons. There are some players that are going to go on loan, there are some that are going to leave, and that's the priority at the moment. We cannot sustain the numbers that we have in terms of players. We are looking to do that, and we will see if we have the right opportunities in the positions that we need more help. We are working with the club to find that. So Mikel basically admitting there that the priority now in January is getting players out of the door, and then the club will look to see if they can do some of the business they want to do in terms of bringing players in. Now you look at players who are going to go out. Kolasinac obviously looks like he's going to be a first. Socrates could well follow. Mustafi, Saliba, Callum Chambers. All these players are potentially going to head out this January. Whether all of them are on loan, we'll have to wait and see. Whether Arsenal can manage to sell anyone, I think it might be a little bit doubtful this window. Again, we'll have to wait and see on that. They might come to some sort of agreement, certainly with Socrates, about cancelling his contract and letting him go somewhere. But for those players, you've got to look at it from Socrates and say Mustafi, who's out of contract in the summer as well. You've got to look at it from those point of views. Yes, the club want to get them out, potentially would be willing to cancel their contract early to do that, but these players have got to be thinking, look, it's a really unstable time at the moment. Everything that's going on around the world, football finances are in real turmoil at the moment, so they've got contracts at Arsenal, so it's not, although it sounds easy, just say, cancel it, let them go. Those players might not want to do that. They might want the certainty of having money coming in until the summer, good money coming in until the summer as well, before then having their choice of any clubs when they're a free agent. So it's not as easy as just saying, look, we're going to cancel your contract, it's gone. You can understand from the players' point of view that it's not as simple as that at all, and it has to be right for them to do that. They have to have a club lined up, a guaranteed wage lined up, that sort of thing. But Arsenal certainly hopeful of doing quite a bit of business when it comes to outgoings in the transfer window. Lots of you have been asking me about Reiss Nelson. It's been going on for a while now. Where is Reiss? He hasn't played since December the 3rd. I think in that win at Rapid Vienna, he hasn't even made the squad since then. And that just comes after he was playing well, beginning to score some goals, set goals up. And Mikel Arteta praising him very highly, saying, he's clicked. We needed him to click, and he has clicked. And then suddenly he's just been nowhere. Yet we've seen him in occasional training pictures. So I asked Mikel Arteta about that. I said, what's going on with Reiss? Where is he? Why haven't we seen him? And he's basically said he's been injured. So here's what he had to say. He said he's had a little niggle and he's not been feeling 100%. He had a muscular issue and he's been in and out of training. It's a shame because I felt like he was getting into his performances and he was starting to have some really good games. He was starting to build that momentum, and this little injury has set him back a little bit. But I think this week has been much better. I then put it to him that the presumption from many, the fact he's not been playing, is because the January move has been lined up, because we've seen him in occasional training pictures, which has made it even more confusing. And he said, okay, it was my mistake to not verify the situation with what's been happening, but he's not been 100% fit, and that's the reason why he's been out. So Mikel Arteta very clear that the reason Reiss has not been available is because of injury and not because of any possible transfer. Now, I still wouldn't say it's beyond the realms of possibility that Reiss Nelson leaves on loan in January, especially given the way Arteta seems to have stumbled upon this. Stumbled upon is probably a little bit harsh, but has settled on this formation that we've suddenly seen in the last couple of games with the basically 4-2-3-1. But we've seen Saka over on the right, no Willian, no Pepe, but Saka over on the right, and he's been doing very, very well. So suddenly Reiss has got another bit of competition on that right hand side, and you've got to think there's no group stages of the Europa League this in the second half of the season, just your knockout games where you expect Mikel Arteta to go very, very strong. So you're suddenly looking at Nelson thinking, game time's going to be a little bit of a struggle for you. So I do wonder still if there's a possibility that Reiss will head out on loan, even though Mikel's saying here that his absence has been down to injury and not because of any transfer activity. But I think it's certainly one to watch, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if Reiss Nelson does join someone in January, potentially might even go abroad somewhere, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Isco, I spoke about it a little bit yesterday in my video. Now I've learned a little bit more on the whole Isco situation at the moment. Arsenal are interested in potentially doing something with him on loan in January till the end of the season. Now, people that I've spoke to are very close to Isco have said they still are unaware on whether Real Madrid are going to let him leave in January. So it's a little bit of a waiting game when it comes to Isco. Real haven't got the biggest of squad. They didn't make any signings in the summer because of financial issues due to COVID. They're behind Atletico Madrid in the table, a couple of points, and Atletico a couple of games in hand as well. So they've got a lot of ground to make up on their neighbours in the title race in Spain. They haven't got the biggest squad, and they don't want to weaken that further in January. So although Isco's very keen on leaving, not necessarily to Arsenal, Sevilla certainly been linked, and the reports in Spain I can't confirm or not are that he would prefer to stay in Spain ahead of the Euros this summer and potentially go to Sevilla. I can't confirm that or not, but there are other clubs interested in him, and he would be keen on doing that to get some regular minutes because he's not been starting games, although he has been featuring in the league. I think he's played in, I think it's 10 of 14 or something like that, 12 of 16 of Madrid's games in the league this season. So he is playing, but mainly coming on as a sub, and he wants to be a starter, get more minutes. But at the moment, it's unclear whether Real are going to sanction any move in January. So it's a bit of a waiting game for Arsenal. There is interest there in getting a loan deal done for him. He's 28. But it's a bit of a waiting game, and it's everyone involved in the situation. Arsenal, the player, his representatives are still a little bit unclear on what Real Madrid are going to do. So it's a little bit of a waiting game when it comes to Isco. And I asked Mikel not so much about Isco. He was asked about that in his last press conference after the Brighton game, but I was asked about, with the financial issues at the moment, is it much more likely that any business Arsenal do in terms of incomings this month is going to be loans and not permanents? And he said, we need to be careful with that. Oh, sorry, actually, I'll just clarify that. I then asked, is it also important that you don't stifle development of young players, specifically Smith Rowe, by bringing in loan players in January just for the short term? And he said, we need to be careful with that. But obviously financially, it's not only us that's struggling, it's every club in the Premier League has been hit with the big numbers. We know that this is not going to change from in the next year or so, and we are going to have to add some of how we want to improve the team in different ways financially. We will decide whether it's loan or buying players in relation to the opportunity that we have in the market. So sitting on the fence a little bit, but from what I understand, Arsenal loan deals is very much more likely than permanent deals this month. Not saying that's going to be the case in the summer when Arsenal will look to go again. Just very, very difficult climate out there when it comes to transfers at the moment, when it comes to money. We all know the impact that COVID is having. Doesn't look like any time soon we're going to have fans back in any sort of numbers in the stadiums again. Obviously, we've seen the issues going on around England at the moment. Everyone pretty much moved up to tier 4, so no fans at all now, not even the 2,000 that we've seen. So clubs are struggling big time with their revenues, and so I can't see that we're going to see too much money spent in January at all. It's very much going to be loan deals and that sort of thing, and clubs trying to be clever in the market when it comes to strengthening their squad. But there is certainly a will at Arsenal to strengthen, and Isco is one of those targets. I said it yesterday. I'm not too sure on it, to be honest. Isco, I love Smith Rowe. I'm a big Smith Rowe fan. I've been calling for him to play for a while, and now suddenly he's playing in this number 10 role and playing very, very well, and bringing that energy, that enthusiasm, that drive. I'm just not sure about the point of bringing Isco in for a few months and suddenly plonking him in front of Smith Rowe. Doesn't really make too much sense to me financially and business sense as well when you've got Mesut Ozil in the building still. It's like surely if you just bring Mesut Ozil back into the squad rather than bringing in Isco and having Ozil still there as well and not even playing. Suddenly you're paying a loan fee for Isco, you're paying wages for Isco all the time, you're paying huge monies to Mesut Ozil to basically sit on his arse and not do anything week in, week out. It just doesn't make much sense. And now Smith Rowe's playing so well in that number 10 role, he'd be certainly my... I'd want to see him continue in that role as much as possible between now and the end of the season. So I'm not too much on board when it comes to the whole Isco train, but who knows? It's not my decision, is it? It's Arsenal's decision, and my information is that it's very much a bit of a waiting game in that regard at the moment. Team news-wise, ahead of the game on Saturday, Bukayo Saka obviously limped off against Brighton. Mikel said I hope he's available. We'll see today if he's training or not. He's played a lot of minutes as well. I'm confident he'll be okay for the game. He also said, we had some knocks, a couple of knocks, and we had the players who've been going through the COVID regulations with different individuals, which I think we will recover for the game. I mean, that's specifically looking at Willian and Louise. From what we've heard, that it's still going to be a while until we see Gabriel, possibly this game and the Newcastle game after that, but we'll wait and see. No, not Newcastle game. I think he should be back for Newcastle, but certainly this game he is expected to be missing. So not great in that regards, but it looks like Willian and Louise will be back. Whether they get into the starting 11, I'm not so sure. You think there's a whole week now after this game until the Newcastle FA Cup game, a game when you expect Arsenal might make some changes as well. So I still don't expect too many for West Brom. I think given the form, given the winning run, that he'll try and stick as much as he possibly can with the team that has won against Chelsea and won against Brighton, because Arsenal have got a little bit of momentum now and they don't want to ruin that, don't want to bring that to a halt. So as long as everyone is patched up and pretty much can get through another game, another 90 minutes, I'm expecting to see a pretty similar starting 11 to what we saw against Chelsea and at the Amex Stadium. That is pretty much it from me today. Thank you for watching. Please do head over to my social media channels on Twitter and on Facebook. You'll find some of the links to stories I've wrote today. I've wrote a little bit about Isco and Kolasinac. There's also a sort of transfer roundup that's gone live on Gold today, looking at the January window as a whole, what we can expect for Arsenal in terms of outgoings and incomings. And I've got a couple of pieces coming up over the next couple of days as well. So stay tuned to goal.com for all your Arsenal news. Like I said, follow me on Twitter and on Facebook as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do a video or not tomorrow. I will try, but if I can't, next time you'll see me will be at the Hawthorns on Saturday for the first game in 2021. So look, everyone have as good a New Year's Eve as you possibly can in these crazy mad times, and I wish you all the best for 2021. Thank you for all your support in 2020. It's been a blast starting this channel. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope to bring you much more Arsenal content throughout 2021. Thanks everyone. Happy New Year.